Okay, it's a little after 7 and we're just beginning. No one has joined yet, but for those who are recording or maybe listening to the recording later, I always open my wines so people can see. Hi, Marla. Just opening my wine for people who, hi, Leslie. Oh, Leslie, hi. Hi, Mary. Leslie Oliver says hello. Okay, so a lot of times when I start, thank you, Leslie, happy Friday to you too. When I start my wine tastings, I will open the wine at the wine tasting as long as it doesn't have to be opened for a long time. And I do that so people who aren't sure of how to open wine can see it. This was a screw top. Hi, Tracy. Hi, Jess. Happy Friday, Mary. Hi, Gail. Okay, as you guys are joining us, I'm just gonna grab my wine opener. Hi, Jackie. It's nice to see all of your names. If you don't mind, and I'm gonna mention this again, but if you don't mind, I have a few people who invited, lots of people who are gonna join. And because I have my MacBook, which I love my MacBook, Chris Ryan, but because I have a MacBook, apparently I can't see people's comments and names when they join unless they're direct friends of mine. So if you have a friend who joins and you see their name, please go ahead and welcome them by comment. And if they ask a question that I don't see, please go ahead and share that or ask or answer a question. Okay, this is my electric wine opener, one of my favorites. As I mentioned earlier, I often will, it's out of batteries, often will open wine at my wine tasting so that people know how to open wine. This was actually not the smartest idea. Should I use my other one? But we're live.
How do you charge?
The chart. Remember I told you the charger wasn't working?
Christine is watching.
Hi, Christine. Welcome. I didn't see her join.
Mike is watching.
Hi, Mike. Nice to hear you. Keith is sitting next to me as my assistant, letting me know who's joined, who is gathered here. He can see more than I can see, apparently.
Liz.
Hi, Liz. Yes, screw top versus cork. Thank you, Mary. So Mary had asked to talk about the difference. So a lot of places are moving towards screw top. The difference is you don't get, so there's a lot of differences, but with the cork, you are getting some of the flavor as the wine lays down. So, and then screw top keeps it fresh, and they are finding that screw tops are lasting for a long time. They still don't have, you know, all the years because they haven't had them for that long. So definitely 10 years plus. Okay, here we go. This is a waiter's corkscrew. And the professional sommeliers would cringe because that was a lot more work than it's supposed to be.
Sure.
Hi, Greer, welcome. Hi, Christine, I think I welcomed you already. I'm just gonna say one more time, so I can see my direct friends for some reason, but I can't see the names of others. So if you see somebody, please welcome them by comment. And if they ask or answer a question, feel free to repost for them. I may have to change my format, but for now, for tonight, that's all we can do. So welcome, everybody. All right, so tonight we're gonna talk about Chardonnay. And before we do that, I just want to tell you, for those of you who don't know who I am, my company is Artisan Wine Group, and I do wine marketing, events, education, and tourism. And I just decided I wanted to do something, try something new with our social distancing. And so we're just having fun. I tried it with a few friends the first night, and we had lots of people join in and watch, which was really great. And hi, Tina, welcome. And so we decided we'd do it again so that we can, you know, continue to socialize rather than, just kind of isolating on our own. So it does, I notice with my kids, it's starting to feel like people are together. Hi, Tracy Fisher. Hi, Tina, I think I said. And hi, Jason. Thank you for joining. And so who I am, I have I'm Allison Miller. And I have my wine, my advanced certification from the Wine Society, Wine and Spirits Education and Trust out of the UK. And I've been doing wine tastings now for quite a few years and really enjoy it. So I was hoping to take a break while we're social distancing and take some pleasure for ourselves. Those of us who are living on our own or who have kids, this is our time, okay? And I also want to thank anyone in the front lines of healthcare. And I love, love, love giveaways. So if you ever book a wine tasting with me, I always try to do giveaways. And so tonight, what I'd like to ask is at the end, if you can message me or comment with someone's name who's a healthcare worker, and we'll do a raffle for them. And if they win, I'll message you back and you can put us together and I'll give them a raffle prize. Okay, and just getting a little creative on what we're doing afterwards. I highly suggest if you have a group of friends in here and after we spend an hour tasting Chardonnay, whatever else you have in front of you, hop on a Zoom, create a Zoom chat or some other kind of chat and just hang out. We did a virtual happy hour last night with my family. It was kind of fun. And anyway, I encourage any kind of socialization by distance that we can do while we're all inside. So what do you need tonight? Grab a bottle of Chardonnay. White Burgundy is Chardonnay as well, and a few glasses. They should be chilled, 45 to 55 degrees, and these just came out of the fridge. They're very cold. Chardonnay is meant to be drank cold, okay? And if you have a couple glasses, if you have some food with you, we're gonna play with all of that. And tonight the theme is Let's Play. So I pulled out some spices and various things that we'll use to see if we can pick up some traits in the wine of tasting notes, okay? And Mary had asked earlier, does a screw top indicate a cheap wine? It does not any longer. It used to, just like kind of boxed wine, there were only some places that were willing to give it a try, and typically they were the higher volume winemakers. But now it does not necessarily indicate the screw top. It does not indicate a cheap wine, okay? So what you can expect from tonight, we're going to go through a focused tasting of your wines and my wines. And the nice thing about this, when I come into, when I do a wine tasting in person, I can't taste, but with you guys, I can taste. And we'll go through different tasting notes for specific regions and run through all of that and answer questions. Hi, Dina, welcome. Answer some questions. Any questions you have, please go ahead and ask them by comment, and hopefully I will be able to get to them all. But if I don't, you can always message me. Thank you, Dina. So kind of glass. What kind of glass do you use when you're drinking Chardonnay? And by the way, you should all be feel free to be drinking as I'm talking, because those of you who know me know I can talk. So feel free to go ahead and begin sipping your wines. It's not going to impact the experience, okay? In fact, it may enhance the experience. And I should mention, folks should be 21 and over, okay? So tonight let's say I pulled out a whole bunch of glasses so I can show you the difference. These are white wine tasting glasses. This actually you can use for a lot of different things, but you know, I didn't pull out a red wine one. Red wine glasses have a larger bulb on them. Red wine needs more oxygen, more surface area to be able to pick up aromas. White wines are typically more aromatic, so you want to focus with a smaller neck, focus the aromatics, the smells, and the taste qualities, okay? And by the way, that look I made, my husband Keith is my lovely assistant to the side. And I should mention this is non-pretentious wine tasting. And while I mention that, let me also tell you while I'm pouring my wines that what is a good wine? My friends know I say this all the time. What is a good wine? A good wine is any wine that you like. Hi, Lisa, welcome. Okay, so if you like, let's say, butter Chardonnay, which we're drinking tonight, then that's fine. That's a good wine for you. This is, if you like a white Burgundy, then that's good for you, okay? If you don't like wine, I would argue, some people who are joining in just to watch, if you don't like wine, I would argue that if you had wine with the right food, you may like it, okay? So, so let's do a toast, okay? And this is a cheers to everybody joining us. Cheers. Cheers to Keith. Cheers. Okay. Oh, don't drink that one though.
What? Shoot.
We mixed them up.
Oh.
Drink anyone. Poor Keith. Okay. So what you missed on the side there was what I had poured 2 glasses. He took one. I don't know which one I poured. And I didn't drink mine. I think that's the butter. Okay. So when we taste, so there's a difference between drinking and tasting. Hi, Nicole. Welcome. So there's a difference between drinking and tasting. Drinking, you're just drinking your wine. You like the taste. You're not paying attention. You're sitting on the porch. You're sitting by the pool. You're having a cocktail. That is drinking wine. Tasting wine is paying attention to what you're. Okay, I know what some people are thinking, but really it's paying attention to what goes into your mouth. Okay, because you're picking up the taste qualities and you're paying attention to what you're experiencing. Okay, so tasting is for a few different things: to slow down and think about what you're experiencing, so you can experience it in a different way. And then when you learn about your taste qualities, you can figure out what you like and you don't like, which is your tasting profile. And that helps you when you order wine. It helps when you're ordering food with wine. Okay, and you learn the terms that describe what you like and you don't like, so that when you're using an app like Vivino that helps you order wine, you can see when someone says buttery and oaky, well, you don't like buttery and oaky, or you do like buttery and oaky. Okay, so and then one other thing before we jump into the tasting is that somebody asked me last one. What table wine is. So table wine is anything, I think it was Lisa Gilbert. Table wine is any wine that is labeled table wine that is between 7 and 14% alcohol. And they do not have to put alcohol on the labels. I was incorrect on that. Some do and some don't, but if it's over 14%, they do have to put it on, and they can be within 1.5% wrong. Okay, so, all right. Let's begin. Okay, so we talked about, we're going to go into how to see, swirl, smell, and taste. All right, so we're going to take a look. Okay, I see all the food pairings coming up. Okay, so I'm going to jump into what taste qualities you may be experiencing, because then we can go to food. If we go to food before that, it's hard to talk about, only because, for example, Greer made. Let's see, Chardonnay with scallops with a lemon butter cream sauce with bacon crumbles on top. Oh my gosh, that sounds unbelievable, Greer, and we'd love a picture and a recipe. Greer's a phenomenal chef, and she does a great job pairing wines with food. So sounds great. And Liz is having pork chops, piccata, and popovers. Wow, that's a lot of peas. Sounds great too. Jess is having salmon, yeah, okay. All right, wonderful. So thank you for sharing all your food, and we'll talk more about that. All right. So the first, we're going to see it. So we're going to look at it and look at the color, okay? Mine, you can see, is a deep yellow. What color is your wine? Share with us, what color is your wine, okay? I have 2 here.
I see like a Vegas gold.
Vegas gold. Casey's Vegas gold. I must have poured you the butter, yeah. Okay, and mine are 2 different colors. Let's see, you can't really, that's interesting. You can't really tell, but one is darker than the other. Okay, Lisa Gilbert's having fresh popcorn, perfect. And Marla's having fried shrimp and fish and chips. And Keith and I only had time to put together some cheeses to try with the wine. Okay, so no one wrote down their color that I can see, any colors. So it's going to be yellow. Okay, it's going to be either a pale or a deep yellow, depending on where it's from. Oh, there's Marla, light golden. Leslie's is lighter than mine, yep. And Gruyère's is a pale yellow. Tracy, yellow, paired with s'mores, okay? And Scott agrees with Keith on your comment. All right. And Gail's is very pale yellow. Okay, this is great. So those of you who are total wine geeks, later on, if you go back and look where people's are from, you will see the difference. There's a huge range, okay? And here's why I picked Chardonnay. Some people said, yay, Chardonnay, and people said, really, Chardonnay? And I have a lot of friends who say, I only like red wine. Well, the thing about Chardonnay is it's the #1 grown grape in the world. And it's also much harder to make a good Chardonnay than it is to make any red wine. White's harder to make than red because there's a lot more winemaking that needs to go into it. Chardonnay is somewhat neutral. It has some basic tastes, but overall it's neutral. And so the winemaker plays a huge role in how your Chardonnay tastes. So if I am drinking a California Chardonnay, it's going to be bigger, like this one, and more voluminous. And if I'm drinking a white Burgundy, which this is, it's going to be much more delicate and much paler. Okay, so you're all, what I want to ask you to do right now is go to your bottle of wine, and some of you may already know, and tell us, take a look at where your wine is from, what region your wine is from. Okay, all right. Now, while you're taking a look, I'm going to cover how you see. You look at the color, which we did. We look for faults. There are no faults. We might look at the legs. We're looking at the legs, the teardrops on the glass, to see how viscous the wine is. Okay, and if it's more viscous, that means a bigger mouthfeel or a different mouthfeel, a fuller mouthfeel. Okay, and if it's lighter, it's going to be a thinner mouthfeel. What does that tell us? It tells us how it's going to go with food if we're pairing it with food. Okay, lots of California, great. A Washington, Mike, Gail. Mike has a Washington. Gail is in Washington. And Lori has a New Zealand, nice twist there. Okay, and Lisa Gilbert, Monterey County, they're putting out in California some nice Chardonnays. Okay, so we are, and yes, thank you, Mary. We're going to talk about white Burgundy versus Chardonnay, but I just want to finish the Wine 101 for those of you who are joining us for the first time. We did the C. Now we're doing the swirl. You do the swirl to bring in some oxygen, some air into your glass and stir up the aromas, okay? So I want you to think about what are some things that you that you smell. What are some aromas that you get? Keith is thinking about it. Okay. So those are aromatics. Leslie's is from Modesto. Leslie, I'm not sure. Where is Modesto? Is that Central County too? I'm not sure. Okay. So you smell the aroma. There are certain aromas. I won't give them away because I want to ask people to comment in with what they're smelling. This is the fun interactive part, people. But I can't see, again, if you have friends that are commenting, I can't probably see them if I haven't mentioned them. Oh, Christine, right. Yes, she gets some flowers, probably some white flowers. Okay. All right. And I'll let you comment in, and then we're going to taste. And I know you guys have been drinking the wine. Okay. Modesto is south of Sacramento. Okay. All right. So Gruyere gets pear. Yep. Marla, citrus and melon. Interesting. Butter and citrus. Naked unoaked from Napa. Way to go, Mary. Pear. And flowers and fruity. Yes, Mike, it's definitely fruity. And I always get the comment, grapes, I smell grapes. Yes, you do smell grapes. Yes. Vanilla, Lisa. Okay, Lisa got vanilla.
Stainless steel.
And Keith got steel. Okay. I'm giving him the look. I was trying to figure out which one of the wines that he and I are drinking, he was tasting. Lori Bailey says pears and fruity. Okay. And Lisa Gilbert says, did I give away the drinking part? No, you did not give away the drinking part. This is all fun. Okay. And Gail gets some butter and citrus. All of that. Yes. Okay. So here's how we did this. The aroma, you can smell all of that. Now, can you taste it? Okay. And your taste will be a little bit better than your smell. Liz Spath, Whetstone. Yes, my friend. Yes. And Tracy Fisher, yes, you're looking at your bottle, pineapple and brioche. Okay, we're going to talk about where those come from. Absolutely. Your bottle is correct. I'm going to teach you how to find those notes in your wine. Okay, so let's go ahead and taste. And when you taste, you take one sip. And oftentimes, if you haven't been drinking, your palate gets overwhelmed by the first sip, so you do a second sip. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and give it a try, and then you can go ahead and comment on what you're drinking, what it tastes like that you're drinking. Okay, hi Vanessa, welcome. Grab a glass, grab your Chardonnay. We've been going through sipping, well, swirling, seeing, smelling, and now we're into tasting. And Tracy says pineapple and brioche. Yep, absolutely. Thank you. Okay, so I've tried one of my wines. I'm going to try the other one. Okay, the aromatics on this one. This is butter Chardonnay from California. The smell is enormous. It's voluminous. So this winemaker so Chardonnay has a lot of smell to it, but they had to do some balancing. So I can tell that they added some other things in order to play with the fruit. And that was the look that I made. So less expensive Chardonnays, they will play, if they don't have a good crop, they will add more to the wine itself. Okay. All right. So this is the California Chardonnay I'm having. All right. So why does this matter? All right. Well, let's take a look at, you're going to all experience different aromas and different taste qualities. So go ahead and comment in on we did aromas first, but if the taste, hi Nancy and hi Diane, welcome. Grab a glass if you don't have it, open a Chardonnay or whatever you're drinking and jump right in. We just did the aromas. We've been talking about how food pairs. We're going to talk more about that and the taste qualities of the Chardonnay that we're drinking tonight. And so we were taking a look at the taste quality. So if you smelled something and you tasted something different, what else did you taste when you tasted your wine? Okay, we're all going to experience different aromas and tastes, but there are some basic terms that that always will go with a Chardonnay. Okay, so Chardonnay is used in dry white wines, but it's also used in champagne and other wines as well. It ranges all over the flavor profile. So if you scroll back up the comment section, you are going to see so many different taste qualities. Now, if you look back to our Pinot Noir night or our Cab night, hi Brittany, welcome. If you go back to one of the other nights, you'll see that they're much more consistent in the taste qualities. So we're tasting now, Jess gets dried apricot and peach. Okay, interesting. Core of the peach, very interesting. And Gail gets citrus and some sweetness, but you can't identify it. Okay, good. All right, and so the way, so Chardonnay can be anywhere from mouth-watering to super acidic to very, very rich. So my California Chardonnay, very rich. My white Burgundy is going to be more elegant and more acid. I'm not sure for Chardonnay.
Which is the California Chardonnay?
Oh, that's the California Chardonnay. This is the white Burgundy.
Which should I try?
I'm not sure. So basic Chardonnay characteristics, okay? Yes, Tracy, you can definitely get grapefruit, and you can call it grapefruit or citrus, okay? Basic Chardonnay characteristics are citrus, green apple, anywhere from that to pineapple, okay? So yellow apple, green apple, pineapple, vanilla, butter, all the tropical fruits, banana, melon, pineapple, guava, to stone fruits, peach, nectarines, apricots, okay? And we said the citrus, and that's what Gail's getting, okay? So let's see if we can pair up, okay? You all identified smells and tastes and where your bottles are from. So let's see if we get this correct. In cooler climates, the grapes tend to be less ripe, right? Less sun. So like Chablis, Champagne, and Germany, you're gonna get more green apple. That is going to be predominant. Okay, and I don't think anybody else besides me had a Burgundy, and I don't have a Chablis, but that's north of Burgundy. So it's north of Paris. It's actually towards actually it's close. It's part of Burgundy, but it's north, okay? Lisa's going with peach and escaping from her day life. That is totally awesome. All right. Then temperate, if it's from southern Burgundy, if it's from northern New Zealand, you're going to get more stone fruit and it's going to be more ripe. And if it's from a warmer climate, you're going to get more pineapple or canned peach. And Gail, that might be what you're getting, that sweetness, canned peach. So California, Chile, Australia. Okay? So does that match up? Let's get a yes or a no, depending on if it matches, if the taste profile matches where your wine is from. So cooler climate, Chablis, Champagne would be more green apple. Temperate, like Burgundy or New Zealand, would be more stone fruit and more ripe. Stone fruits are, again, peaches, pears, nectarines, not pears, nectarines, apricots. And then a warmer climate would be more tropical fruit, pineapple, canned peach. Okay, while you're trying to determine this, a couple facts about Chardonnay. Yes, Lisa's matches and Leslie's agrees, okay? Good, good. So Chardonnay is the most grown grape in the world. It's grown in almost every wine region. It was discovered in, or discovered in Burgundy in France, and second in California. A clone was taken in the early 1900s, I think it was 1912, and in California, and they've been using that same varietal. Okay, good. So some of you have weighed in. Nobody has said no yet. It seems like the region is really dictating what you're experiencing in your wine. And as I mentioned before, lots of people love Chardonnay, lots of people hate Chardonnay. Marla's saying hers is California. We got Macintosh and apple and melon. And so I would look to where in California, because if it's Anderson Valley and it's a little bit more north, you may be getting more apple. And the melon would be more towards the tropical fruit. So it would depend where in California. But again, this is generalized, so you can get Chardonnay with any of these taste qualities. You can be in Napa and right next to someone else who has a vineyard that faces in a different direction, or has, I don't know, there's a gap in the mountain where the sea, the coast comes in, like Sonoma, and the sea breeze comes in and it's cooler. So that can also affect it. Pear, grapefruit, flowers, Central Coast. Just like I said, so it depends again, depending, but yes, it can make sense. We'd have to look at yours specifically, but yeah. And Tracy Partington, I would challenge you, is it pear or is it apple? Yellow apple. Okay. Greer, Gail's still getting peach with the citrus. Okay, interesting. Liz says she is not above Chardonnay. I'm telling you, when I went to Oregon just last week, I took home 2 Chardonnays because they're making some really, really interesting wines. And so you can't get them, they won't taste the same anywhere else because it depends on the winemaker, who's the artist, and the region. Okay, now I'm going to tell you about why the winemaker. Okay, so we're going to take a look at, as we were talking about, the region. So there's 2 major factors that wine professionals use when determining taste qualities of Chardonnay. Okay. And let me also just say, why do you want to know that? You want to know that because when you're trying to figure out what you like and what to order and what to pair, it's really good to know, hey, I really like a good California Chardonnay, or I like a white Burgundy. And when the sommelier or the waiter or waitress comes to your table, if it's a nice restaurant, nice wine list, they should know what those taste qualities are. And that's going to help you to order. Thanks, Liz. That's very sweet. All right, so the 2 major factors, we already talked about climate, where the Chardonnay is grown, what region, is they all have their own characteristics. The other really important thing about Chardonnay is whether it's oaked or unoaked, okay? So, hi, Ann, welcome. A lot of people, so California went crazy the last, I don't know,
last week,
20 years. And they started heavily oaking their Chardonnay. Some of them did that to hide the faults, and some of them did not. Now, what does that mean, heavily oaking? So oak barrels, okay, when you take your grapes out of the vineyard and you get the grape juice out of it, you as a winemaker have to decide, how long do I leave the juice on the, how long do I leave the juice, the grape juice that's coming out on the stems, on the skins, because that's going to affect color, it's going to affect the texture, and all of that. And so then they eventually move this wine, this grape juice, into fermentation. And when it's fermenting, they're carefully watching the yeast and the process, okay? And they're tasting all the time. Then oftentimes with Chardonnay, they stop and they say, they meaning the winemaker, will stop and say, you know what? I want this to be smoother. I want it to be more buttery. And so they may allow it to go, they introduce lactic acid and allow it to go through what's called malolactic fermentation. So if you taste your wine and it's super smooth and buttery, likely it's gone through malolactic fermentation, okay? Then they have to decide whether or not they're gonna oak it, okay? In Burgundy, they often don't oak it. They let the fruit speak for themselves, and if they do oak it, they do just very, very little oak. California went nuts with oak. So depending on the cooper that they use, meaning the person who put together the oak, the kind of oak, whether it's a American, French, Scandinavian, not Scandinavian, Slovakian, whatever kind of oak, which is usually they've used French oak, and however many years the barrel has been used and how it was toasted, that all affects your oak, okay? So, Lisa Gilbert, perfect question. Hers says bourbon barrels, so that's a new movement. What they're doing is they're taking oak barrels and they are soaking them in bourbon, or they are first fermenting bourbon in them. And then they remove the bourbon and they put the wine in, and the wine picks up taste qualities of bourbon. I've never had a Chardonnay that was bourbon barrel, only red wines that were in bourbon barrels. But it's really, it'll add spice and it'll add a little bit of flavor. Okay. How would one know, Greer asks, if it went through fermentation when buying wine? So all wine is fermented. So it has to go through fermentation. Otherwise, it would just be grape juice. Wine is fermented grape juice. And actually during the Depression, that's how people would make wine, I mean, not the Depression, Prohibition. People would make wine by getting grape juice and getting a kit with yeast, and then they would create wine from it, wine. But it still had alcoholic properties. So it's always fermented. I think even more important is, how do you know whether your wine is oaked or unoaked? If you know you hate oak and you don't want to think too much about it because you've already thought about it way too much tonight, what you need to do is assume that most wines from California will be oaked and most wines from Burgundy will be unoaked. And oftentimes they'll put it on the back of the bottle, okay? So they'll say whether or not it's oaked or unoaked. Mary this evening bought an unoaked Chardonnay. She knew she didn't want oak, and so she bought it, and it's called unoaked Chardonnay. Now, what does oak do to your wine? Okay, that's the critical thing here. All right, so when you have an oaked Chardonnay, they're usually the higher end wines from California, Burgundy, and Australia. Although I already said Burgundy doesn't oak a lot. They'll do very, very light oak, and it's just to enhance the flavor. So you get a bolder wine, but you're basically getting from your oak, depending on what they do to the oak, you're getting cream, you're getting buttery flavors, you can get smoke, you can get, I have a list just because it's important to hit it all. Vanilla, baking spices, butter, smoke, hints of sweet spices like clove and cinnamon. And so when people are playing my card game and they get, so you can pick, those of you who have it, you can play along. Well, yeah, the white wine, that goes with it. That goes with this wine, definitely. Okay. Steel, not with my wine, but you can get mineral notes from the white Burgundy. Chalky, sometimes, depending where it's made. In Chablis, those wines are definitely chalky because they're minerally. Flint, minerally, okay? So you can use these cards and you can take a look at them and say, nectarine, do I taste nectarine? So what Gail had mentioned, she tasted peach, that also could be called nectarine, and no one would tell her she's wrong, okay? Now, you can get to things like vanilla, okay? Sweet spice, rich aroma, invokes vivid, happy memories of home cooking and baking. And some of you, probably your kitchens are smelling a little bit like baking and vanilla today. So it can have, yeah. So oak definitely can have some wonderful properties to it. It's when they over oak it. When they over oak it, they're trying to hide faults usually. Or the maybe the winemaker isn't savvy. a lot of companies that make big volumes of wine, their grapes won't be quite as, okay, Keith is opening a package on the side. Thanks, Keith. Yeah. And so, so as Marla says, hers has a touch of oak and she's tolerating it, and certain foods bring the oak out, that's right. And so some people like the toast and a little bit of toast. So you might like it slightly oaked. And I say that to Mary because she had gone and gotten the unoaked. But there's definitely a lot of variety when choosing Chardonnay. Chardonnay can go with anywhere from shellfish all the way to a stew, to like a medium brown stew. It can be big in the winter and it can be soft in the summer. And I think that's what you each are pulling out of this. Marla said certain foods, so let's do that. Let's see if we can pull out some of the oak. So if you taste a mild cheese, Marla did apple and pear slices, whatever you guys have in front of you, give it a try and see how it's affecting it. Thanks, Mary. Thanks for that. See, Scott, yeah, so Scott loves the oak. It gives it complexity. So again, if the winemaker is trying to overcome fruit quality, they're going to over oak it. There's a consistency in volume, and people who love oak may enjoy that. But Lori Bailey says the label doesn't mention oak, but she's getting some oak overtones. So that's interesting. You'd have to look that up. It depends. So if it's butter, that can come from the malolactic fermentation that we talked about. If it's smoke, unless it's Chablis and you're mixing smoke and minerality, then I might not say that's from the oak. So that's interesting, Lori. Hi, Dee. My brother joined. Nice to see you, Dana. Mm-hmm. All right. So some food pairings. Let's see. Can everybody comment on food pairings? We had Greer's Kendall Jackson Reserve with her, okay, so that's interesting. With her scallops, her buttery scallops with bacon. Jess Weller asks, is there a region of California that oaks more than others? So that's a tough question, and I'm sure Keith says Oakland. I don't think so. So it's a tough question because they used to all do a lot of oak. I would say the higher quality winemakers are using less oak and more conservative oak than others. Your grape, so your quality overall Central Coast grapes will not be as great of quality because of the soil and the warmth. It's a cold, I should mention, it's a cold climate grape, best temperate climate. So if it's a warm area like Central Coast in California, they're going to oak more to hide the fats. Okay. So Tracy Fisher is eating keto chicken bacon ranch casserole. Wow. With cheddar cheese, and it goes great together. That's fantastic. Yeah. And Jess has frog's leap with salmon. Jess, I think frog's leap is Central Coast. And salmon's controversial. Salmon is hard to match. It's controversial in that it's a fish, but it's a fatty fish. And so it still coats your palate. Okay, Gail is eating rosemary sea salt popcorn. How does it go with it? And Jess's is from Napa. Okay, so not Central Coast, Napa. And yeah, and so Jess, when you eat the salmon with the frog's leap, tell us about what new qualities come out. Okay, so Greer being, I defer to her for the food expertise. And this is great advice, so I want to make sure I call it out. Actually, I'm going to pin that comment, so I'm not sure where that goes. But Greer says it went really well with the scallops because she did this the other night too with, I think with the Cabernet. She used a bit of the Chardonnay in the lemon sauce, and it took away the acidity of the lemon. Okay, so I'm going to just take a minute to talk about food and wine pairings, and you'll hear me say this quite a bit. Food on its own, great. Wine on its own, great for different things. When you want to pair them together, the two together should create a better experience. So if you eat food and you taste wine and you only taste alcohol or you only taste one quality, they're not a match. You can still eat them and drink them together, but they're not a good match. If you put them together and they taste better together than separately, it should be bringing out different taste qualities and almost like a higher level of taste quality. It's like another level of taste. And that's the thing with wine tasting as well. A better wine you're going to taste continuously on your palate. You're going to taste more and more and more. It unveils itself. So the first things that we covered when we did our wine tasting and talked about what we were tasting was the fruit. We covered the different kind of fruit, right? But now we're getting into the oak and the secondary tasting. And this is what together should accent your food if it's a good food wine. And again, if it's not a good food wine, it's fine for drinking, fine for sharing. But if you want it to go well with wine and you're asking for elegance, that higher level, that would pair with food. Okay. So Tina says she's drinking Chimney Rock Cab. We're just happy to have you, Tina. Marla said French fries do nothing for this wine. Yes, sometimes the frite. If Marla, I guarantee if you put truffle salt or more salt on it, it might do something. Definitely not the ketchup. Jess gets more apricot. So that's interesting, Jess. And it's been a while, so I can't remember what I asked you. I think I asked what else you're tasting now that you're pairing it together. So that's interesting. And Tracy, you're getting more of the butter. And so if that's a quality you like, then you like that pairing. Okay, Gail says the popcorn brings out a smoky finish that you didn't get before. Yeah, that's very interesting. And a lot of times if you're doing a wine tasting on your own or you're just hanging out with a friend drinking wine and playing my wine card game, no, just kidding. But yeah, playing war with it or whatever. But it's good to put together foods, like just put out some foods and try them. A lot of times when I host a wine tasting or go to someone's, do an event, people will say, what do I serve? And I always think it's a great learning experience to see how things go together. And worst comes to worst, nothing pairs together, pour some salt on it. That oftentimes will help the taste.
Not to be confused with the devil.
No pouring sugar. And Greer had made a comment to me a while ago, and she said, I really like to taste the wine before I create the dish to pair them. And that's important to call out. If you really want to do real wine pairing with food, that's a whole nother lesson. But really, you want to try the wine before you make your food and decide. Okay, so some suggested food pairings. I wouldn't necessarily choose popcorn or French fries or even salmon. I might not have said salmon, Jess, and I find that fascinating. Oftentimes you want to go with kind of a medium food. You want to go with the salmon with the oil kind of makes it a thicker, so you need a bigger Chardonnay. But chicken with medium sauce, like a chicken stock. So here are some, because I'm not the gourmet chef, here are some suggested tastings. Crab cakes, linguine with clams, halibut, pork tenderloin with apples. Oh, that sounds really good. For vegetarians, lean towards rich or starchy vegetables like corn, pumpkin, or squash. And it says that mushrooms are good with this. So we're going to try that that truffle cheese again. Alfredo sauce could block your palate, so it's got to be a big Chardonnay. Those lighter Chardonnays, like the ones from Burgundy, the white Burgundies, those would be better with the shellfish. All right, so I'm trying my truffle cheese. Okay. I feel like you guys are way ahead of me here. All right, and then also unoaked Chardonnay. So those were the food pairings I gave were actually oak Chardonnay because they're bigger, and then unoaked Chardonnay would be raw seafood with oysters, sushi, sautéed fish, pâté, chicken cotta, and vegetable risotto. Okay, good price for Chardonnays. Good price for Chardonnays. So you can pay anywhere from $5 to hundreds and hundreds of dollars for a good older white Burgundy. Best price point is probably 10 to 40, and that's actually why I picked out these two wines tonight. So the butter is probably like $15, and if you like heavy oak and big, you may like this one. It's not my style. I have a harder time with it. Meaning I just don't enjoy it as much unless I put an ice cube in it. I don't really do that, but it would lighten it up for me. This is a white Burgundy, and this is the lighter. And actually, my company will be selling this ultimately, but it is a nice light Burgundy. Now, I did mention ice cubes, and this is something our friends talk about quite a bit. And so I just want to share with you, because when I have my friends over and they put an ice cube in it, I judge. I try not to, but I do. Because if you're drinking my wine, I'm usually serving a pretty good wine, and the ice cube will melt into it and it dilutes the flavor. So maybe come with your own wine if you want to put an ice cube in it. Or, you know, I will serve you, you know, a wine that's more, Keith is shaking his head. But what I did,
say you could,
and all my friends are laughing because they know. But
tell them Keith will give them a beer.
Keith will give you a beer. I do actually like these, and I know that wine professionals, you know, again, this is unpretentious wine tasting. I know that wine professionals would be like, no, but you have to keep it cold. You're going to notice, because you've probably had it out for a while if you haven't drank it all, it's warming up. As it warms up, you're going to taste more and more. The winemaker created the wine. Remember, the winemaker is the artist. They create the wine to be drank cold. And so other taste qualities that come out may not be the wanted taste qualities. So if it's the summer and I really want to keep it, or I'm having a long conversation and I want to keep my wine cold, I'll get just these plastic ice cubes. Okay, so Mary says, can you speak to Chardonnay versus white Burgundy? Yeah, I think I did before, but same varietal, different place. The ideal place to grow Chardonnay is Burgundy. People will say Washington, Oregon, they'll all say, oh, our latitude, longitude, similar characteristics to Burgundy. They all want to be like Burgundy. It's a cooler climate, not cool, more temperate, but towards the cool side. Chardonnay is a cool grape, cool temperature grape. So Chardonnay is the varietal, it's the grape. And white Burgundy is what they call it in Burgundy. So thank you for that question. That's excellent. My last minute personality is with Trader Joe's multigrain crackers and shiitake mushroom snacks. You know, okay, so Lisa Gilbert, this is interesting. Someone mentioned mushrooms when I was looking at my notes, and they recommend mushrooms with it. And my mushroom cheddar was fantastic. My truffle cheddar was fantastic. Greer says mushrooms go well with anything. It's like baking. Greer, you eat mushrooms. Greer has her Chardonnay on ice. Yep. And Christine, I knew I horrified you when I put ice in my wine. You know, if I go to your house and you put ice in your wine, it's fine. It's just when you come to my home, just warn me. Okay, anyway. All right, so enough with that. Talked about winemaking. Oh, triple creme goes well with it too, different cheeses. And so a tip to pairing Chardonnay with food is to keep spice and flavor intensity low while accentuating the creamy, buttery flavors and textures. Butternut squash risotto is mentioned. Roast chicken with honey, sesame, carrots sounds really good too. All right, so now let me just take a look at what time it is. It's 7:50, so we have to move along. All right, I'm moving out. And Mary, I know you asked the difference between Chardonnay and white Burgundy. I hope that I answered that. There's going to be different taste qualities. So Chardonnay in general is the variety. And then we talked a lot about regions and the different tastes throughout the regions. As we saw from all of our comments, that within California itself, there are so many different taste qualities of Chardonnay. So the key to buying Chardonnay is to figuring out what flavors you enjoy, and then finding those notes when you look up the wine, like on Vivino or whatever else it is. If you would like Chardonnay, if you enjoy it. If you don't enjoy Chardonnay, I would argue that you haven't found the one that is a good match for you with the food you're eating. But I like every kind of wine. So, all right, Marla's destroyed her palate by putting Trader Joe's everything. Her mouth is stinging. Yeah, then it doesn't work. Okay, so some of the spices. So what I did, and I encourage you guys to do this if you take a minute, and go to your cabinet, go to your refrigerator. I know we're all short on food supply, or at least being careful so we don't have to run out every 2 minutes or call the delivery person. But grab some spices. I have lemon. I have black pepper. I have white pepper. I have vanilla, just to give you some ideas. Okay, and I can envision you're all running to your cabinets right now. Cinnamon, ground cloves, ground nutmeg. So those are all those spices we were talking about with the oak. And I also have some honey. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the glasses, and I'm going to just pour a splash of wine in. No, thank you. Keith got his ghost peppers. That will not be happening. That will destroy my nose. Okay, so yes, it is lemon juice, Greer. I did not have a real lemon, and I didn't add it to my to my list. But so I just poured a tiny, tiny, tiny little bit of wine. And what I'm going to do is I want to know, what does nutmeg taste like in wine? What does it taste like? Okay, so, or smell like. So you can smell it, and then you can pour it into your wine and swirl it around. Just give it a minute to kind of sit in the wine. Yep, we'll be cleaning that later. Okay, I put way too much in because now I'm going to try it. Oh, Keith wants to smell it, yeah. Okay, so what else can we, let's see, and then we're going to try it. Okay, so a spice is going to taste different depending on what you're using it in. No ghost peppers. So a spice is going to taste different. So once you taste it in your wine, then or taste it in that tasting glass, try your wine again and see if you can identify that taste quality in your wine. A lot of times we call out these taste qualities like pineapple, cloves, cream, right, from oak, pear, apple, but it tastes different in wine. It's almost like it's altered. It's altered. Okay, so I have a little bit of butter, and please let me know if you guys are doing this along with me. Let me know what you've experienced. This is the play part. Okay, I've got my butter. No one else will be tasting it because we're not sharing germs. It's a little harder. Okay, the butter's harder. But I can smell the butter. It's in my wine. Okay, now I'm going to taste it. Okay, Greer did cinnamon. Lisa Gilbert, I don't want to force it. I don't want to force you. Let's see, I have another glass here. What's another good one to try? Let's try this one. All right, so I'm going to try the pepper. Yeah, I'll try the black pepper. I always wanted to, so some people who taste wine, professional wine tasters, will say I get white pepper or black pepper, and I, through tasting with them, I oftentimes can get the difference. It's like white is a little sharper. So Greer can't get the cinnamon. Yep. And Anne got the, oh, good. Cinnamon's not bad. Yeah, so it's not really, I'd say probably more the smell than the taste. Okay, so I put pepper in. Yeah, and it smells a little bit different once it's in the wine. Okay, and that could be a little bit of why you have trouble pulling out different taste qualities, but you guys did a great job today on comments. You definitely did. No one wants to do it. I once made up my own smell kit that I brought to a wine group. And it was just little vials, and each one had a little bit of wine and some of these taste qualities. Okay, so Marla's, that's interesting. The butter that she did improved hers, and that could be because the butter has some. Better. Because as Keith calls it with love, that butter makes everything better. But it could be that it also blocks part of your some of your taste palette. Okay, let's see. This feels big. I'm trying to clove. A clove is a good one. Yeah. Yeah, I need a new glass, I think.
Right here.
Oh, we have one more? I'm going to do the cloves, too.
Should I ask what kind of wine you're putting these spices into?
No. What do you mean?
Expensive or?
Oh. So Keith said, do I need to know how much these wines cost that I'm putting spices into? Oh, this cloves smell amazing, Lisa Gilbert. Okay, so put the cloves into the wine. You smell it beforehand. Now you smell it in the wine. It smells a little different. Okay. So then when you go back, it's gonna when you go back to taste a wine and you have experienced these qualities, it's going to be easier for you to pull these qualities out of the wine. Yes, Gail, the honey I bet is delicious. Oh, Marla says bacon too. Let's see if it'll taste like apple pie.
Bacon's more of
it was not interesting,
bacon
Tracy.
More of a
the
red
white
wine
pepper.
kind of meat.
Yeah, Tracy, can you put words on the white pepper. I'd be interested to see what you think. Yeah, the cloves smells really good. So you get cloves more in red wine than you do in white. Jess Weller, we haven't heard from you. Are you? Oh, you guys are. Yeah. So some of actually the lemon might be interesting. What world do I live in? Pink pepper oil. Ooh, oh, that's interesting, Leslie. Pink pepper oil. I don't know. What does that smell like? This is the cloves. I can't stop smelling it. Okay, so now I'm going to go back because the cloves should definitely be in my big California Chardonnay. Oh, that's so interesting. My Chardonnay smells different now. Okay, yeah, okay. So I can get some of the spice out of it. That's interesting. Yeah. Jess Weller, good call, I get it. I get it. So anyway, this is the play part where you get to try. We're trying food. We're trying these different spices. And next time, Jess, I'll warn you, you can pull out a less expensive bottle too. That's funny. And bacon does make everything better. Yeah, it definitely does. Ooh, chicken bacon ranch. Okay, so we have 2 minutes left. I have lots and lots of notes, but I, of course, will not share them all with you. Just some notes for, champagne. If it says Blanc de Blanc, that's all. Greer says we have 5 minutes, not 2. Yes, Liz, definitely catch your breath. And actually, this is a good COVID exercise. If you can breathe in and smell your wine and hold it for 10 seconds, then you're doing well. Oh, that's interesting. Liz added lemon. So it wasn't really meant to make the wine better. It was meant to to help you to figure out the qualities of that wine. Let's see. Champagne would be called Blanc de Blanc if it's all Chardonnay. Otherwise, it's Chardonnay, Pinot Noir, Pinot and Meunier. Okay, I'm going to wrap it up. I have lots of other facts to share with you, but I appreciate all of you joining me. If you have any additional questions, please feel free to comment or message me. I am offering I'm donating 30-minute wine tasting so that you and anywhere from 8 to 20 friends can gather in Zoom or another digital room. And all that I ask is a donation to your favorite charity or to buy. Oh, that's different. Or to do takeout from a local restaurant one night, or get a gift card, and just let me know and we can schedule that. It is starting to book up, so definitely let me know. And what I'll do is get in and do a 30-minute quick tasting with your friends, and then I'll leave and you guys can hang out virtually. Lots of fun. The other thing I want to remind you is that if you or you have friends who you want to enter into a raffle that are healthcare workers, that are on our front lines. Again, I want to thank everyone, and please send their names to me, and I will enter them into a raffle, and I will draw a winner, and I will notify you if you were the one who nominated them, and then we will, we'll do I'll send them a prize. Okay. Thank you guys so much for joining. I think I'm going to do one next Friday at 7. I think if I keep the time consistent and the day, that would be the best. But I'm open for taking any input on on day and time. So next Friday, I'll definitely do Friday 7 p.m. And I'll do a poll between Syrah and Cabernet Franc because I want to go back to the reds this time. Okay. Yeah. Thanks so much for joining me. And stay safe, everyone, and take care.